record, so you guys can be good on that. So I'm going to put this, make Carsen the spotlight here. So Carsen, tell us about how to create an organizational chart and promote it and build a team the right way.
Boom. Thank you for that, Jay Brad. I really appreciate the intro there. Let me share my screen. Actually, before I share my screen, number one, I feel like the first thing you have to have dialed in within your organization is, what is the end in mind? Like, what do you want the outcome to be of your organization, especially when we're talking about like a structure, right? Our organizational chart. Like, what is the end goal? Why are you even making it? Are you making it to promote vision? Are you making it so that you can show people, hey, this is where you can go if you hit this, metric or the standard that we have? Like, these are the opportunities that we have available, more than just selling cut coat items. I feel like a lot of people, when they're new and they join this job, they're just like, oh, I'm just gonna be selling knives, I guess. And obviously we know it is way bigger than that. So I'm gonna share my screen and show you what I've come up with. So this is my master sheet. I've got all my org charts and flow charts and whatnot, and we'll get into it. Basically, this is like the big picture goals. I still got to fill in our spring results and correct some stuff. We had some returns, so this number is not very accurate. But also, this week is my deep dive, input everything I've been working on with Dave into this sheet so we can plan out the summer in this sheet specifically. Also, the fall campaign is in here. I can share this too. My one rule with me sharing this, and I let Stu know, you have to put me on your copy so I can see any really cool changes you made, so I can make them too. That's my only rule. Okay. Because I know, optimize what you get, right? And I want to be optimal too. So this is like, my depth chart as well, the people that I got up and coming and what I think they can do for the next year. And here's my org chart. This is going to be changed up a little bit just because Blake McNally is moving to the Dom position with Dave, and then I'm going to move Chris into the sales manager role. But basically with this organizational chart, you see we have departments split up. So Bree Nunn will be the assistant district manager. She will be in charge of the entire recruiting department, where we will have a recruiting manager who's managing the recruiting assistants and people that help with post interviews, because I've identified those as probably where we will need the most help, is sending more messages and posting people in gigantic interviews. So right now, Bree is the recruiting manager because, well, we don't just have a huge team right now, but I'm promoting that vision to Bree. Like, hey, look what happens when we recruit more people. You can train your replacement, and you can step back and do more selling and managing, like you're running your own little mini branch within our district. You're running your own little department, so that when the summer's over, you're going to switch into a different department and you're going to train the person that is now running the recruiting department. Does that make sense to everyone, what I just explained? Okay, cool. So that's the goal. And you see we have 4 different departments, well, really 5. My department is like the strategy department, where I'm like promoting the vision, doing a lot of the planning, the long-term thinking. And we have the development department, which is where our key staff is going and where we are identifying AMIs and people that can step into the sales coaching roles, maybe social media manager roles, post-interviewing, recruiting assistant role, and whatnot. And so Chris is actually going to be moving into the sales manager position, and I'm going to be taking over the development. So I'll be working with key staff and our up and coming development. And then in the sales management department, this is where one person is dedicated to just managing the sales aspect of our district. And the reason why I'm like splitting it up into these different departments is because I feel like trying to teach one person how to do everything, like PDI, PCs, run the interview, post interview, and send messages, it can really overwhelm them and not get them good at one thing. They're trying to get good at everything at once, and they just feel like they're always working. Whereas this sense, it's like, Blake, you're not running any interviews. You're just coaching the sales coaches. Obviously, we don't have a lot of sales coaches right now because we have a small team. So it's like, Blake, you're going to be the sales coach until you can hire a person to replace you as the head sales coach. And then you can be the sales manager step back and let the sales coach coach the team and you coach the sales coaches. So just promoting that vision of like, hey, it's going to be a lot of front end work because we don't have a lot of team right now. But once we start building out these departments, you're going to have less on your plate actually. And you're going to be able to focus on what really matters as an assistant manager, which is going out and leading by example and selling, doing field training, working events and whatnot. So got these little Monopoly cards that have very brief introductions, or I guess documentation of what each position does, whether you're on just a sales rep team, sales coach, whatever it may be. So that's just my org chart right there. And there's a little bit more to it, but that's like really the basis of it. Yeah, the Monopoly cards are there just for like simplicity reasons. I'm going to stop real quick and check in. Any questions on kind of the org chart, why I set it up, why are the colors that certain way? Because the colors are that way for a reason.
Tell me more about the colors, Barson.
The colors. Yeah. So the colors are actually kind of funny. I just thought of it as like orange, as like I'm the sun. I don't know. This is my way of thinking. I'm the sun, which is like I am providing all of this opportunity and energy for the rest of the department. I put the culture department in red because that's like that's when everything is starting to get hot, right? Like hot news get posted. You do something good, or I guess we can just keep using it as hot. Justin's going to send you a certificate. Justin's going to be the guy that just like is just making everyone feel so welcomed and warm and keeping that morale boosted. Blue for the sales coaches is really just because, well, blue is like water, right? So water is always going to be flowing. We always want to make sure that our sales are flowing, and we're not trying to force it, right? Like I feel like a big thing is managers get off that like neediness, like we need to do this, right? Instead of trying to flow with their sales and just build gradually, they're like, oh shoot, I had a bad week this last week. We got to really drive our team and push our team, right? Green for the recruiting side of things is because, well, I mean, that's how you got to grow your team. Like you don't have a team if you're not recruiting. And so like green is like the grass growing, right? Like you're always going to have, I don't know, this is just how I put it together in my head to make sense for me. And then the calendar that we are using for the staff also reflects all of these colors. So like all of Bree's stuff is in green. All of Chris's stuff is in, like, it just, all of my stuff that I'm going to be leading is in orange in the calendar. And then the development, this is like the sunlight coming out of the sun, the yellow, helping these people get to a position where they can be the sun for their own office. So I hope that helps, Kuvi.
Great color choice.
Thank you. I feel like if you make things easy to look at, people will want to look at it more. So yeah, this is really how it goes, and I'm still building it out, right? Like I don't even have CSP stuff on here yet, but that's because I really don't have like a CSP team. But I feel like it'd be important to at least add that on like a branch, like in this little section, just to show people that that's there, right? So next is the flow charts, really. And this is what I built out our flow chart to ideally look like. I think it's going to be different for every single office, right? But it starts with the top. Manager outreach, whether that's conveyor or social media messaging, or they fill out our Google form. This is like active stuff, right? Like I'm not talking about web or Craigslist or mailer, really. Like if you put a post up on social media and then an applicant fills out your Google form that you have, then your manager or SMRA or whoever you have in place for that recruiting will send them a text. If we're reaching out during social media jumpstart or conveyor, then we'll obviously just schedule them for the interview on the spot. We send them a pre-interview text. So this is like the communication right here, this little column. And then this is the activity, as you can see. So pre-interview text, they show to their interview. Now I still got to branch out right here, no show to interview. And then what happens? Kind of like if this, then blank. So like if they don't show, then I'm going to have to build this out right here and say, hey, no show to interview, we send them this text or we give them this call, this type of communication. So this is still like all a work in progress, as you can see. Then they get accepted to interview, they get a pre-training email, a follow-up text 24 hours after we sent them the acceptance email. And then before training, the morning of training, we send them a pre-training text just to make sure that they've got the link and they've filled out our Google form. And you'll see right here, we have the training seminar. So they show up to training. If they do not show up to training, then what do we do, right? Built that out. Then we'll reschedule them. After training, we just have a quick PDI check-in. Stole this from Dylan Foley. It's literally just asking them 2 questions. What are you excited for? And what are you nervous for? And just handling that, just because they're going to be nervous about something. And if I feel like if we just don't address that, that's going to fester in their minds for the entire rest of the night. And then, you know it sometimes can happen is they don't show up to day 2, right? So day 2, that's the next part. No show, what do you do? Well, you reschedule them, right? Just building this out and having the proper communication. Day 2 PC after day 2 of training, where we ask them a series of questions like, hey, can you make advanced training? Okay, great. Have you thought about a goal for this weekend? Awesome. And who are you showing first? I feel like that's a great one. Knowing if they're showing like their roommate first is pretty critical, I would say. And even just knowing what they do, like this rep we just launched. This was one where I was like, oh man, I don't know how I feel about this. He's like, yeah, I'm doing my first one with my buddy, but like he told me he's going to buy knives. It ends up being like a $500 order. And I was like, okay, this is the one time like you sounded very confident that your friend was going to buy knives. Otherwise, I would not let this happen. He's like, yeah, no, he told me he's literally going to buy something. Like he doesn't care what it is. I was like, all right. But typically, if someone said they're going to show their friend, I'd be like, no, you can't do that. Show your uncle first, right? And if they have a successful phone jam, which words only mean the meaning that you give them. So like, it might be successful for you if they book 5 appointments, but they might feel defeated, right? So you got to coach them up and just ask them how that went, how that made them feel. That's how you get them to show to day 3. They feel like they did a good job on day 2. They're not too overwhelmed, building that confidence within them, no matter what. Then we have a day 3 debrief after training. Training for us as managers in the Bay Area on day 3 is really hands off. Dave and Mike really just like go through accessories and getting them ready for Vector Connect and getting them all set up with Zoom and whatnot. And then Callie does our PR talk. And then I run a debrief at the end, which basically covers how I want them to clock in, how I want them to fill out a demo verification form after every appointment that they do. I also talk to them about, making sure they're set up on Vector Connect. They can share their screen on Zoom and then answer any other fear bubbles that they have or pop any other fear bubbles or questions that they have. You'll see got them launched from training for their first appointment, and fast start day 0 is where this begins. Fast start day 0. We add them to WhatsApp, and now they're in their first weekend. So once they're in their first weekend, and this is the ideal rep experience that we want them to have. They get a fast start text Saturday. They're in their Saturday of their first weekend. Check-in call for PRs and an AT1 reminder on Sunday. So we got AT1 today. So I sent Zach the AT1 reminder text. And then typically this is where someone will quit, right? Like first weekend, they're like, I can't do this, whatnot. And we have to either A, talk them off the ledge, or B, try and talk them off the ledge and realize, okay, this might be a huge waste of my energy trying to get this person to stay, right? But just kind of handling their first weekend concerns and even handling the no-show to advanced training. Like what is the action after that? Typically we'll want them to hit their first promotion, right? Like this guy, Zach, who we just launched on Friday, he's already at 2,500. So that's really positive. So now we got to post him on our Instagram page because, well, he just hit his first promotion, and I think that's worth noting, giving him some shout out right there. And that's part of the culture department. And then Tuesday, so tomorrow, we'll have our day 4 PC with anyone that's in their fast start. Like Jay Brad said, do the PCs, they work. And we drive them to the Tuesday night phone jam. If they're a really motivated rep and they want to sell a lot, you should probably get them to the phone jam. My new rep Zach said, oh yeah, Carsen, like phoning at the phone jam, during the training was way easier for me because I'm super competitive. And once I saw all these other people making calls, I was like, okay, I can do this. And then I just wanted to beat everyone. I just heard people making appointments and I was like, I want to beat them. And I was like, great, you're gonna love every phone jam. You should go to all of them. Then we get them texted for the team meeting and make sure that they're ready for their first one, prepped to take notes. And well, you got to make sure you run a great team meeting, especially if it's their first one, right? Might be
So
your
Carsen,
1000th one.
Carson, are you doing a day 4 and day 11 PC with everybody?
Correct.
having
Yeah, you'll
someone
see it
do it
right
with them?
here. You're right here.
So
Monday,
that's
day
with,
10 text and set up day 11 PC.
and that's with everyone. Do you have someone on your staff do it with some of the lower flyers, or do you just PC everybody?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I will do it with our top fast starters only, and then the sales department will do it with everyone else.
Nice.
Great question. Great question. But yeah, I mean, I have communication with them all the way through their fast start finale, Magic Monday, set up their PC with them for day 11. And then once they're after their day 11 PC, I mean, it's just every Tuesday PC and checking calls on Thursday and Sunday. That's just the protocol for a post fast start rep. And then they begin the development phase. And hi, Mom. The way I want to change kind of the way that I see a lot of offices like running their programs with promoting them to key staff, AMI, whatever it might be, is a lot of offices do it based off of CPO. And I think a common one is like 3K CPO and you're on key staff, which is great. You know, it's a great indicator, but like Justin Gilmore on my team sold 3K in his first order. Does that mean he should be on key staff? Probably not. I don't think CPO is a great indicator of work ethic, which I feel like we are really looking for to get, you know, somebody on staff. So we did orders. We're doing this all based on orders. So when you get 2 orders, you get a text saying, hey, you're 20% to the 10 order club, double digits. It's awesome. Building up just like more orders, not really caring about the CPO because, well, if they sell a peeler, then they're going to feel terrible because that's not getting them closer to that CPO. But if you switch the mindset to orders, they're like, hey, I got another order on the board. There we go, no matter what the size is. So I just kind of like that approach on it. So 2 orders, you're at the 10% or the 20% club. 10 orders, they should be roughly about, you know, 2,500 to or $2,000 to $4,000 if they're at 10 orders, depending on the averages. Yeah, exactly, Stu. Exactly. And so that's when I'll give them their first key staff invite. But after talking to Kyle about this, they're like, I want to get them to their first key staff like right after their fast start, no matter what they're at. And I can definitely agree with that. To their invite to check out key staff. But if they want to be on key staff, they got to be at that 10 order mark. They got to be at that 10 order mark. And once they're on key staff, then you'll see right here, they're either coached with Chris Polo, that was when he was in the development department, or myself, CLP, because I'm kind of taking that department over now. So they'll start coaching with me once they are officially on key staff and they, you know, want to actually be here. Lunch with CLP if they hit 25 orders. I thought that was cool. And we talk about TLA and Dirty 30 at 25 orders. Right there, we'll even potentially assign them to a department that they can shadow under. Like if I'll give them the option, hey, like which department excites you the most? The sales department where you got sales coaching, the culture department where it's like social media, a lot of like boosting team morale, creating graphics and whatnot for the team. Or would you think about like recruiting, which is growing the team and helping people like you get here, just like how, you know, Bree reached out to you and you're here now. And then whatever, like letting them choose, because they're typically going to choose something that they're already good at, right? Instead of us going like, oh, you should be in the recruiting department because we're scarcity mindset and we need more people to help recruit. Instead of abundance mindset where it's like, everything is going to be okay and work out. Where do you want to, where do you see best fitting for you? And really like playing the what's in it for them. Because this guy, Zach, you know, he wants to own his own business in the future. He wants to, you know, do these things, right, with his life that are going to require him coaching people. So like, I see him as a great sales coach, probably our first sales coach that we'll have. And he's going to school for business management. Like that just makes sense. But if he tells me, yeah, I want more people to be here, and be like, great, well, you might sound like you might enjoy recruiting a lot. So giving him those options instead of making him feel like there's one route you got to go. So I also put 35 orders here, just kind of playing around, seeing like, okay, if 25 orders is too little to assign someone to a department, maybe 35 orders would be good. But at 50 orders, that's when I talk about being an AM, like a full-time AM in our office, 50 order club. You get to talk about an All-American if this is in the same campaign. If you're at 50 orders in one campaign, I'm like, hey, you could really go for an All-American right now. Like, you're really crushing it. This is where I can see you, you know, just really painting that picture. Bonus land, right? Like, they should be around 20K in sales at this point. And I'll talk to them about assistant manager or CSP, just getting them, just letting them see that, oh, wow, I actually just don't have to do demos my entire time here type deal. And then once you get 100 orders, you're on our official wall of fame, and you get an exclusive one-on-one dinner with myself where we'll just talk about a lot of things, things and stuff and whatnot. So right here, this is kind of the management process, right? Or I guess the development process. So once they become an AMI and they choose the department and they shadow under it, they'll be an AMI for 2 weeks, just learning and still selling. Like right, like you can't be on staff if you don't sell. But right here, this is a 2-week unpaid learning process where they'll be shadowing whatever department, fully integrated into department role. After they're like, oh, 2 weeks. Yeah, I love what Bree was doing in the recruiting department. This seems like right up my wheelhouse. You know, I want to be a lawyer in the future, and that's going to be a lot of one-on-one conversations and like getting to know people and asking them good questions. You know, that's why Bree likes the recruiting role, because she wants to be a lawyer, and she's going to have to present evidence in front of a group of people, right? And have to sway an audience to think a certain way. So it's like, what's in it for them, right? Bree, this is going to help you so much when you're a lawyer, because you're interviewing people, you are making sure that they're the right fit and asking them really good questions. Then, you know, they go into TLA, start training to be a branch manager, TLA times 2 times branch, go through college, potentially a DOM, and then lastly, a district manager. But after, you'll see I do have fair and show team and CSP, CGC, and realtor built out here because, hey, you know, as we noticed, sometimes AM stuff is not for them. And they have to experience that themselves. And so sometimes they're going to be like, yeah, you know what, Ransomith reviews, not for me. And then we can go like, okay, great. Like, have you thought about more full-time selling, like fair and show team CSP path? So that's what I got with kind of building out the bigger picture, right? Showing people where they can go, giving them a path, and painting that vision as Brad said. So I know I just talked a lot, but I'm open to any questions, any comments.
Yeah, there's a lot of fabulous
jokes.
stuff. I got some notes and some kind of questions and things, but I want to open it up to anybody want some clarification on anything that Stuart asked a good question earlier, but anything that Carsen was talking about. Carsen, if you can set that to where it is a view only publicly, anyone with a link,
yeah,
and then drop that for us. Yeah, I'd love to be able to look and reference that from time to time. You know, it just reminds me of the days as a early on as a district manager, just, you know, doing that over and over again, what you have there, that flow chart. Yeah, we didn't have Google Sheet or whatever, but there was a program called OmniGraffle that I used to use. And every summer I would redo it. Every year I would do it again, you know, just because it was so much fun to just see that thing. And it really, I mean, as far as managers having the right mindset and understanding why they're here and being excited about being here and excited about, as opposed to reevaluating, should I be here every campaign or every year? When you're doing that kind of work, it just makes it really exciting and pretty fun. Questions, comments? Yeah, thanks, Stuart.
Yeah, I got a question. Barson, what does the L mean in your name?
Oh, the L in my name. Well, I don't know if you guys are ready for my middle name, but it's Lloyd. I'm gonna spell it for you too.
Damn.
What did you think it was, Kubi?
Lauren.
Lauren, like with a Y?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, close.
Nice.
Close.
Well,
Yeah.
that was great, Carsen. What do you think? I guess, what is your philosophy on you doing those PCs? I think it was day 4, day 11 with the top people instead of having the coach that they're coaching with do those types of PCs.
Just so I can get some clarity on that. You're asking what do I think about me doing the PCs with the top people
Like, why did
rather
you design
than
it
the
that
coaches?
way? Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Just because I feel like if they are just working super hard, they deserve some exclusive time with the top manager, right? Like kind of giving them that recognition of like, hey, you're like really crushing it. I don't coach anybody. I don't coach just anybody. You're showing me right now that you deserve a little bit of guidance from me, and I see blank, blank, and blank for you. And if I'm wrong, you can totally let me know, and then we can decide. You might be a better fit coaching with Chris, but I see this, this, and this in you, and I think that we can really help you reach not only your goals within here, but your goals inside and outside of the business, just by giving you a little bit of special attention, and then seeing where they go with that. They're like, oh yeah, like if they're not really pumped about that, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna touch this person, right? But I feel like it's just kind of getting that feel of like, okay, this is a top person. I can get them to 30K this campaign if they coach with me. If they're not giving me that vibe though, I'm gonna be like, okay, Chris, I got, and I might have this person coach with you, right? But yeah, that's a great question. I'm still kind of evaluating that too, and thinking about, okay, what are the qualifications someone needs to meet for me to coach them rather than Chris?
Yeah.
So great question, Kobe.
Awesome. Appreciate the answer then. Follow up here. So
Mhm.
what does your action plan look like to get this off the ground, right? With sort of a smaller team now. And I know a lot of our managers also just have smaller teams. Not a lot of them have a huge staff, like huge staff, I guess. So
Mhm.
what do you feel like is your best tips for you to jumpstart this that may be able to help out some of our managers too?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I actually have caps with all of my staff. My staff was going to be Chris, Bree, and Justin. I have caps with them all tomorrow and Wednesday, where we are finally going to like integrate all of this. I actually have documents that I created for each department. I'll show you guys real quick in our Google Drive. And these documents are like, it's kind of what I stole from Mike. Yeah, Kappa's campaign action plan. So right here, let's see, like Bree, here's her department right here, ADM leadership doc. Here are the rules. Here's some clarity on like what you'll be doing, leading by example in recruiting, interviewing, and personal sales, managing and leading the recruiting department, training RAs and post interviewers, developing systems within the department. Here are all her responsibilities, what she has to do about managing the department, which KPIs specifically she's going to be looking at, retention priming, outlining weekly goals. Like I want to give the people that are in charge of their departments like full authority in these departments. So like she's going to be setting the goals each week. Now, obviously in our staff meeting, we're going to talk about what the overall goal of the team is. And then we'll break it down to, hey, Bree, this is just like what we need to do this week. And then she'll outline how to do that. Because if I'm just giving people the answers all the time, like they're just not going to learn. And then I become the bottleneck and everyone's relying on me to give them stuff to do instead of me just painting this picture. And then they're like, okay, if we got to hit that, then that means I have to do X, Y, and Z. So that's what this cap is going to be about, just going over this document with her. Oh, see, she already filled this out. Love that. So I gave each document has this right here, leadership development training, where it talks about the 5 levels of leadership from John C. Maxwell. Great book. If you have not read it yet, amazing. And then I gave all of them this assignment. What skills, mindsets, and trainings do you think you and any leader would need in this position? And she did it. She did the assignment. So important skills, the discipline to consistently make phone calls and do weekly demos and lead by example. Love that she put that as her first one. I haven't even seen this yet, so this is my first time. Having a system in place to PC and drive my reps each week. Having have a big part in team meetings. She wants to. Another one of my goals this year in the summer is I want to be pretty hands off with my team meetings. I want to make me a little bit more exclusive, and I'm like running every team meeting, like from start to finish. It's like me, and I just don't feel good about that. So then I had this other assignment: which systems are you unsure of that we run, or how to run them, or what would you want to evaluate and or implement? And honestly, I'm still learning to become familiar with our new systems, but based on my experience, in order to have a booming summer, we want to recruit a lot of quality reps on the team. In order to do that, we need to be consistently sending messages, recruiting, and scheduling people for interviews. I know for myself personally, once my schedule starts to simmer down, I'll plan on being a lot more active and disciplined. So like our caps are going to go over all of these documents, going over schedule and going like, okay, when can we implement you, Chris, as the sales coach? Like, when does this start now? Because right now I'm PC into the team. Chris is dealing with a lot of my whole staff right now is dealing like Justin sick, Bree's in peak track season in school. Chris just like is getting over a breakup with his girlfriend for like 2 years, right? Like they're all feeling it. And I'm not trying to just be like, hey, we got to do this now, while they're all like, I want to just ease them into it, have a great cap, provide them so much clarity on like when they're starting their role and exactly what they will be doing when they start it. Because all of those responsibilities, like if they don't have anyone in their recruiting department right now for Bree, well, how is she going to PC people in her department, right? So it's like, hey, Bree, this is all the stuff that is like possible right now. Though we're probably only going to focus on these 3 things to get the summer started. So just kind of almost like price positioning, like giving her this like huge list of things and be like, but right now we're only going to focus on these 3 because these are the only things you can do. And like kind of dropping down, she's like, oh, okay, so it's really not that much. And then I'm like, yeah, but it's like J Brad's graph, right? It's going to be exponential. It's going to be slowly climbing. And once we hit like May 30th for us is when we're in peak schedule for the summer. It's like, that's when everything will be fully integrated. Like I have a date. I even have a couple other assignments I will give them during their cap to build out their specific trainings for the sales coaches, the social media management team, and then the RAs and the post interviewers. So each department that has their little own subgroup of people, I'm having Chris, Justin, and Bree come up with their training for those people. That's going to help get the outcome. They're going to run it by me, of course, but like I want them to have full ownership in it because they're going to do it at a much higher level if it's them coming up with it. And they're going to, it's like the jump shot, right? I know Kuvi, you've probably heard of this. Like I probably jump shot different than every single person on my team. So if I try to teach them how to jump shot like me, it's probably not going to do very well, right? They're probably going to feel awkward. They're going to not have confidence in their shot. All I care about is if they can get the ball in the bucket, right? So if they can just produce the desired outcome within their department, I can really not care less about how they do it. Yeah, wrestler jump shot is like shoot it sideways almost. But I could not care less about how they do it as long as it's number 1, ethical, and number 2, getting the outcome. So I hope that answered your question, Kubi. Cool.